Jews, we're different from other peoples. Our continuity depends on identity. And it's eroded constantly. It's fraying at the edges, so it's very important to solidify it at the center of Jewish communities, and that is a vital role that the Jewish Agency plays with our partnership, and we have to continue to do it. We have to continue to do more, especially in Jewish education, in the learning of Hebrew, in visiting Israel. And the second is, of course, helping ensure that New Orleans successfully integrate into Israeli society. These are two tasks that we have to focus on in a very systemic way. It's very important to have a great idea, but it's also very important to have practical implementation. I noticed that ineffective executive Bill Gates said philanthropic, nobody's laughing, philanthropic organizations have to have targets. They have to show what they do with the resources that they're given. So I'd like to see the number of Hebrew speakers around the world grow in a measurable way. I'd like to see the numbers of Olim grow in a measurable way. I'd like to see the effect of Jewish education permeating in the various societies measured in a concrete way, and also in non-concrete ways, but the idea is to get results, both in identity and in Aliyah and Klita. This is what we need. I think we have a great opportunity. Israel has never been stronger, and in a large part it's due to the bond between the citizens of Israel, the people of Israel, and the Jewish people around the world. And that begins, as I said, with education. There is obviously a need not only to build our own pride in our own heritage, but also to counter the lies and slanders along the lines of BDS and so on that are leveled against us. I think BDS doesn't pose a real economic danger to Israel because reasons that I'll talk about in a minute. But I think it's a moral attack on us, and we have to respond to it with a moral attack on them, delegitimize the delegitimizers, because what they're doing is abominable and against the tenets of justice and morality and human rights. Who do they partner with? Who do they partner with, Amir Ohana, the people who hang gays? Who do they partner with? The Women's Forum here, the people who enslave women and rape them and mutilate them? Who do they partner with? The people who burn churches and synagogues and mosques? We have to delegitimize the delegitimizers. We have to do that with great force, not with apologetics, but with great passion that emanates from the knowledge, the deep knowledge of the justice of our cause. Don't accept their tactic to make you bow to their delegitimization of Israel. This is a great society. All societies are being rendered right now. Their politics are being changed by this new technology, by internet, by talkbacks. Yeah, it's happening everywhere. But in Israel, this is the most liberal, advanced, democratic society, not merely in the Middle East. Look around. Go watch brighter. There are several continents around us. Stop delegitimizing Israel. Delegitimize the delegitimizers. You got that? So that's the first thing. Second, bring Jews here. Masa, Birthright, many other programs that have brought Jews here to see the truth, to see their patrimony, and if possible, to stay. We talked this morning about something that I want to do, and that is to focus on engineers, data scientists, cyber specialists. Among the Jews of the world, there are manifold talents. Israeli high-tech is growing, it's bursting at the seams. It has unparalleled demand, but it needs people. And we're going to try to bring back Israelis, and we're going to try to bring in a special number, an increased number of young Jewish men and women from the communities to be part of this for idealistic reasons and for another reason. Remember the old joke? How do you make a small fortune in Israel? Start with a large one. No. They can make big fortunes in Israel. Big fortunes in Israel. And that's a change, but it's not merely their personal fortunes that I'm looking at. I'm looking at our larger fortune. We have these great opportunities for the Jewish people and the Jewish state. Israel is the home of all the Jews. And I've worked hard to make it a home for all the Jews where any Jew can feel comfortable, feel at home. It doesn't always work that easily. This is, of course, something completely at odds with our history. We know that the Jews never quarreled among themselves. Ask Moses. Ask Herzl. I just read this remarkable biography of Stefan Zweig in which he discusses his meetings with Herzl, which are extraordinary. And Herzl was a modern Moses. But Zweig, this young Jewish intellectual at the turn of the century of Vienna, says, what grief the Jews give him. What grief the Jews give him. Don't they see that their internal divisiveness is meaningless in the face of this extraordinary idea of the rebirth of the Jewish state that Herzl put forward? What grief they give him. And yet, when there was grief, when he died, he says, just a few years later, he met him in 1901 when Herzl was effectively the op-ed editor of the Neue Freie Presse. Can you imagine? He was still working there. Still working there. And 3 years later, he's dead, and he says, what grief the Jews give him, but at the time of grief, when Herzl dies, they flow from all over the Jewish world of the day, thousands from Turkey and from Poland and from Russia and from the West. They flock to the cemetery and they say, our Savior has died, our future has died, our hope has died. But of course it didn't die. The idea took root, and here we are in the independent Jewish state, in the Knesset, with representatives of the Jewish government and representatives of the Jewish people from around the world. The hope didn't die. And this is the home of all Jews. And even though we have problems, some grief, I mean grief from internal divisiveness, we should remember that we are one people and we have one wall. Yes, it's our wall. And we have a problem to work at, and we're working at it. The less we work at it publicly, the more we're likely to arrive at a solution. I haven't given up. We're doing that right now. And the last thing we need now to resolve this sensitive issue, while the world is saying that we have nothing, no patrimony there, in the place that has been our spiritual center for over 3,000 years, the last thing we need now is more friction, because that will make a solution more difficult, not less. Sometimes things require patience and tolerance. I've been dealing with this about 20 years. I can tell you I have patience and tolerance. I hope you do too. Now, I want to tell you that I have never been more hopeful about the future of Israel than I am now. Because until a few years ago, when the Arab Spring began, people were saying, will the Jewish state survive these convulsions? Now, there are those in the region who say, will we survive without the Jewish state? Because as the cloud dissipates and as the dust settles, it becomes increasingly obvious that the most dominant force, the strongest power in the Middle East, and the only power that counters, the only indigenous power that truly counters with its own strength, its own prowess, the advancing forces of militant Islam, either those led by Iran or those led by Daesh, that one force is the State of Israel. And many around the world now understand it. They understand that Israel contributes through its superb intelligence agencies in the battle to stop Daesh terrorism. The firmament sends sparks to every continent, from Australia, we have some people from Australia here, through America, everywhere, and Europe, and Asia, everywhere in between. And Israel is a great force to be reckoned with, and they do. And secondly, of course, against Iran. And what this has done is bring a lot of countries to Israel. And the others are coming not merely because of T, of terror, they're coming because of the T, of technology. I was in the UN recently, I gave a speech, and then we had an exhibit. And the exhibit was of Israeli technology in Africa. And African leader after African leader after African leader came there and said, these are all countries that had disconnected their ties with us. They said, please come back to Africa. Come to my country first. No, come to my country first. No, come to my country first. And you had their young Israelis, men and women, in their 20s and their early 30s, doing remarkable things. You know, Moses hit on the rock to get water. They don't do it from a rock, they do it from air, from thin air. And an African woman who had to go 8 hours a day, 8 hours a day to march to get some water, given this Israeli technological mirror, she gets water from the air, or solar energy, or IT, or better crops, or stopping the spread of HIV through, I didn't understand this, laser circumcision. This is cutting edge technology beyond my capacities. Okay. All this was shown. Israel is coming back to Africa. It's coming back to South America. It's coming back, or never been there, places where we've never been, to Asia, to India, in ways that are unimaginable, to Japan. I'm saying this because there's great hope for us. Because of our prowess in security, our prowess in technology, we are creating alliances that were unheard of. And that's bound to change, as I said in my address at the UN. It's bound to change the UN. It's already changed the UN. You talked about UNESCO. Here's a secret. The vote on these outrageous resolutions in UNESCO have shrunk against us. I said it would take us 10 years to get rid of the automatic majorities in the UN, but the process is already there. Who scuttled the second vote on UNESCO? The president of Tanzania, I thank him again, and the government of Croatia. Because the minute they said there's a vote, there's no consensus, that resolution is ineffective. That was the decision in advance. And you look at the vote, it was a much more complex body this time, the membership, but the vote was better, even though it was a secret vote. We are multiplying our prowess. Israel has great opportunities in the world, and none more than here in the Arab world, because they get it. They don't get it on the campuses. They haven't figured it out. They're still stuck in the jungle like the Japanese soldier. You know, he's still with the camouflage and the war paints. He's still fighting the old war. While American investors are building in the next island luxury hotels for Japanese tourists. They're still fighting that war. They haven't realized the Arabs have changed or are changing. And the old line, Israel and the Palestinian conflict is the center of all the conflict, in the singular, in the Middle East. It's ridiculous. It was always ridiculous. But people repeated it ad nauseum, including here. That's gone. And now they repeat the equally ridiculous argument that the center of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict is the settlements. Yeah, if Jaffa is a settlement, you're right. If Tel Aviv is a settlement, you're right. It was never about the settlements. It was never about the Palestinian state. It was offered time and time and time again. It was offered in the Peel Commission. It was offered in the partition resolution. It was offered many times by many of the predecessors. It was offered by me. It was always rejected because it was never about the Palestinian state. It's always been about the Jewish state. And when we left Gaza, all the settlements, not a freeze, we left Gaza, we disinterred people from their graves. They made peace? No, they didn't make peace. They threw rockets at us. And when we look at the other people there in Ramallah, 7 minutes away, he could come here in 2 seconds. He could accept my invitation. Of course, I want to go there too, to their parliament. Talk about a headache for my security people, okay? But I'll do it. What about you? Why don't you accept the Jewish state? End of claims, both sides. No right of return. Oh, well, nope. We'll never accept the Jewish state. That's the problem. It's the opposition to a Jewish state and any boundary. And it's time we started telling the truth to the world and told the truth to ourselves. Tell the truth to the Jewish communities around the world. That's the only way. The only way you fight the lies of the BDS is with truth. I want to recruit each and every one of you to the battle for truth and the battle of expanding Israel's growing influence in every one of your countries. It helps. It's happening anyway. You can help accelerate it. In parliamentary meetings, in meetings with community leaders, with academics, with business leaders, with technology leaders, I can't say spread the gospel. Spread the truth about Israel, the great truth about this liberal democracy, flawed. All of the societies are perfect, as you know, except Israel, right? Warts and all. It's a great country. It's a great future. The future of the Jewish people depends on the future of the Jewish state. And the future of the Jewish state has never been brighter, even in a sea of troubles, because we are increasing our prowess, our technological prowess, our military prowess, our cultural prowess. It's all there. But it depends on a basic unity within and a basic unity outside. And I say that in the great pivotal moments of our history, from Moses to Herzl to the present, we have to remember the important things that unite us, our values, our heritage, the fact that we came back to this state and built a remarkable democracy of progress and hope. I want you to all be parts of that. I want you to tell this story to young Jewish men and women around the world, and I want you to tell this story to young non-Jewish men and women around the world. And I think that if we join hands and do this, we'll secure the Jewish future forever. Thank you very much.